Alright, today we're going to talk about the mean value theorem for integrals. And so if f is continuous on a to b, that there's some point c in a to b that f of c is equal to 1 over b minus a from a to b of fx dx. And so your height is equal to your 1 over b minus a is your width times your area. And so if you want to think about it, if area equals base times height, if I want to solve for height, I just divide by my base. And so we've been calling area the antiderivative from a to b of f of x dx, and our base we've been calling b minus a. And so that's how we're going to get our height, which in this case we're going to call f of c, our height at a point. And so we're going to talk about this in class tomorrow, and I'll show you with your driving lab when you guys talked about how many times did you hit your average speed. So I want you to remember the mean value theorem showed that there's an x values made the instantaneous rate of change, so where your derivative is equal to your old school slope. We talked about this. And so this is the antiderivative, or the integral version of the mean value theorem. And so really what we're saying is there's a rectangle, and you'll see it, whose area is precisely equal to the area of the region under the curve. And I'll show you that with your lab. Alright, number one, find the value c for f of x is equal to 4 over x squared for 1 to 4. So I'm going to go ahead and move this up. And so I'm going to use the mean value theorem for integrals. And so I'm going to do b minus a, so I'm going to do 4 minus 1, the antiderivative from 1 to 4, of my f of x, which is 4 to the negative 2 dx. And this is all equal to there's some sort of f of c. Draw that better. F of c. And so that's what we're trying to find. What is this f of c? And so when I take my antiderivative, so let me simplify this. This will be 1/3, and the antiderivative of this guy is going to be 4x to the negative 1 over negative 1. We're evaluating from 1 to 4. Some sort of f of c is equal to, let's do negative 4 over 3. Let's move that x down so we know what we're doing when we plug in. So I'm left with negative 4 over 3 times 4 minus negative 4 over 3 times 1. And your 4's are going to cancel. These become positive. And so this gives me 3 over 3, which is equal to 1. Alright, so let's talk about what is this f of c. Okay, so now that we've kind of done this, the antiderivative part, and it's equal to 1, what is this f of c? Well, if I plug into, instead of having x, if I have c here, that will be my, if you notice, that'll be my f of c. So instead of writing 4 over x squared, I'm going to write 4 over c squared. And that's going to be equal to that mean value that I found using the integral. So I'm going to multiply by c squared, so I have 4 is equal to c squared. That means c is going to be either plus or minus 2, but I can't use minus 2 because it's not in my interval. And so c has to be 2. Alright, I'm going to use the mean value theorem again for integrals to find the value of c for f of x is equal to cosine over negative pi over 3 pi over 3. And so let's go ahead and get ourselves set up. So instead of writing f of c, I'm going to write, so f of c is cosine, instead of cosine of x, we're going to write cosine of c. And we're going to be solving for that. And then at the end, you're going to need your calculator to just kind of do the arc cosine, or excuse me, the arc sine of this to find your answer. No, it'll be arc cosine. And so here is our cosine. And keep it color coded. Cosine of C, that's our f of C, is equal to our b minus a, so 1 over pi over 3 minus negative pi over 3. The antiderivative from negative pi over 3 to pi over 3 of cosine x dx. And that's going to equal 2 pi over 3 from negative pi over 3 to pi over 3 of cosine x dx. And I'm going to go ahead and move my 3 to the numerator. Alright, and so now I can take my antiderivative. Antiderivative of cosine is sine, evaluated from negative pi over 3 to pi over 3. So our cosine of C is equal to 3 over 2 pi. Alright, sine of pi over 3, which is sine of 60 degrees, which is root 3 over 2, minus sine of negative pi over 3, which is sine of negative 60 degrees, which gives me in quadrant 4, which is a negative y value, so I'll be negative root 3 over 2. And so these two become positive. Sorry. Cosine of C equals 3 over 2 pi. And so root 3 over 2 plus root 3 over 2 just gives me root 3. And at this point, in order to find C, we're going to have to do the arc cosine. So you have to use this feature on your calculator. So when you plug it in your calculator, please use parentheses around this guy. So you'll have two sets of parentheses. You'll have your arc cosine parenthesis, and then just do 3 divided by 2 pi. Make sure your 2 pi is in parentheses, and then you'll have parentheses around your 3, of course. When you do your square root, and you should get, if you punch it in correctly, you should get C is equal to 0.97 or 597, and we're done.